Welcome back to Birds of a Feather. This is your daily Baltimore sports podcast. My name is Nathan Stroud, and today we've got some pretty breaking news this morning regarding some Orioles and Ravens injuries. And the first one that I want to talk about, and we're just going to get right into this. There's no real intro or anything like that. About 2 minutes ago, it was reported out of Ravens training camp that Lamar Jackson appeared to leave practice today because of a right hand/wrist injury. It says about 90 minutes into practice, Jackson got knocked down. He stayed for a few plays before heading into the facility. This is obviously the worst possible news that we can possibly hear right now regarding the Ravens. There's also a big Orioles injury that I want to go over and talk about the injury. It has to do with Felix Bautista. He got surgery on a torn labrum and torn rotator cuff. He's going to be out for all of 2026. There's a lot to go over because we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about potential closers for Felix Bautista that we could replace him with. The Orioles have a day off. There's a lot going on with that. But right before I was going to start recording for the Felix Bautista situation, Lamar Jackson, all of a sudden, it's reported that he goes down with an injury. Jamison Hensley, who is one of the main people who work for the Baltimore Sun, he does a lot of Ravens reporting. He's at training camp all the time. He basically breaks this news. Insane news. It says, okay. Okay, so we're getting news coming as we're talking now. It says Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson left practice because his foot got stepped on, a team spokesman said. So now it's a foot thing? I don't really know what's going on, guys. We're reporting this stuff live as it's going on. The first report was that Lamar Jackson left Wednesday's practice with what appeared to be a right hand and wrist injury. It said he got knocked down, and now we're getting news that it's because his foot got stepped on. I don't really know what's going on. So whether this is a foot injury or a hand and wrist injury, obviously that is bad. It is bad. You never want to see someone like Lamar Jackson injured because of how important he is to this team. Much like guys like Patrick Mahomes, much like guys like Josh Allen, much like guys like Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson is this team. Lamar Jackson is the Ravens offense. Everything on this team revolves around him. He is the pure heartbeat to the Baltimore Ravens, as we know. And I don't know how major this injury is. It doesn't sound like it's anything too unbelievably crazy. They said it was a right hand wrist injury, but now it's apparently because his foot got stepped on. I don't really know what's happening. Obviously, we're going to kind of live report this stuff as it comes through. But some big Lamar Jackson news coming out of Ravens training camp. And yeah, this is just, it's very concerning, very worrying, because obviously you never want to see anything wrong with Lamar Jackson because of how important he is. Obviously there is a little over 2 weeks left there's less than 3 weeks until the season starts. And we're getting pretty big news here about Lamar Jackson, a potential injury to Lamar. Very worried, very, very worried that this is something bigger than it's supposed to be. But we will keep you updated as stuff goes on. So we've got some more little news about this. Jonas Schaefer, who is someone who is also a beat reporter for the Baltimore Banner and the Baltimore Sun, he was basically talking about how it says no reason to worry. Per a Ravens spokesman, Lamar Jackson got his foot stepped on. He's fine. Todd Monken didn't see the play. So apparently it's nothing too much to worry about. Apparently it's nothing too bad. If Jonas Schaefer, someone who was obviously there at training camp, and a Ravens spokesman, if he said that he's fine, I'm going to trust and believe that he's fine. This is something to monitor, though. This is obviously, anytime something happens to someone like Lamar Jackson, you've got to kind of monitor it completely to make sure that it actually is okay. But from this tweet right now, a big sigh of relief. This tweet came out 3 minutes ago. It says, no reason to worry. Ravens spokesman. It said, no reason to worry per Ravens spokesman. Lamar Jackson got his foot stepped on. He's fine. Todd Monken didn't see the play. But originally it was said that it was his wrist or his hand. So hopefully there's nothing wrong with his wrist or his hand. Hopefully it is just the foot getting stepped on. And hopefully he is going to be okay. Obviously I'm kind of reacting the way that I am right now because, again, the Ravens season rides or dies with Lamar Jackson. And we know how bad the quarterback play other than Lamar Jackson has been this preseason. Cooper Rush has looked terrible in his first 2 games. So if it's not Lamar Jackson on the field for the Ravens, it's not going to be good football at all. But yeah, so as of right now, I think it's okay. I think we are all clear. Hopefully his foot's good. Hopefully the wrist and hand is good. I don't know why they tweeted that out. I don't know why they initially said that, because that, like, the whole hand wrist thing is scary, because you think kind of back to what happened to Joe Burrow a couple of seasons ago when he actually injured his wrist in Baltimore. And he was out for like the rest of the season because he had to get surgery on his wrist. So that was scary, but if it's just the foot getting stepped on, I'm sure he probably left because of precaution, but hopefully everything's good. Let's pump the brakes. Let's chill out. Let's take a deep breath. I think everything's good. I'm gonna, I'm gonna go over the Felix Bautista injury in just a second and kind of go over everything regarding that. But while that's going on, we're definitely going to be checking up on this Lamar Jackson injury and seeing if anything else comes out about that. Okay, guys, I do think that there is no reason to worry. There's a lot of stuff coming out right now that he is good. His foot got stepped on. All these reports saying left practice early because his foot got stepped on. Team says he's fine. Team says he's fine. Team says he's fine. Ravens say he's fine. Let's chill out. Let's just chill. Let's take a chill pill. Everyone's going to be okay. Adam Schefter is now tweeting out about this because, again, this is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, if not the best quarterback in the NFL, one of the biggest names in the NFL as well. We see the initial Lamar Jackson, hand flexing report, and then Adam Schefter came out and kind of confirmed that it is just the foot getting stepped on, and he is fine. Jamison Hensley, obviously one of the biggest, Ravens guys that we can kind of go to for this situation, said left practice because the foot got stepped on. Team spokesman said he's fine. Adam Schefter is now coming out and saying when Lamar Jackson left practice, he appeared to be flexing his wrist, but a Ravens spokesman said Jackson got his foot stepped on and he's fine. So I think everything's going to be good. Let's all chill out. Let's all take a chill pill. Let's all take a step back. I know I've been saying that for like the past 5 minutes. But obviously this is literally like the biggest possible injury biggest possible like scare that we could have possibly had regarding the Ravens. This is Lamar Jackson we're talking about. This is Mr. 2-time MVP, should have been 3-time MVP. And it was crazy because I was literally going to record this episode just talking about the Felix Bautista injury, which we'll go over in just a second. But right as I was going to start recording, I get the news that he went down because he was flexing his wrist and there was an injury, and then we had to talk about that kind of going on. And then as we were recording this episode, we kind of were getting active news that everything is going to be okay. I'm going to assume everything's fine. I'm not going to worry about it. Let's just chill out, everybody. Hopefully we hear from some Ravens people after practice to kind of confirm that things are good. And the biggest thing to me is definitely the wrist thing. I hope that the wrist is good and okay, but if it's just the foot getting stepped on, I think we're okay. But let's chill out, guys. Everything's going to be good, and if there's reason to worry, we'll definitely talk about it, and we'll definitely bring it up if we get other reports that maybe the wrist does hurt or maybe the foot hurts or something like that. If something like that comes up, we'll definitely, bring light to it and bring attention to it. But right now, from the reports that we're getting, because that's all we can really go off of, from the reports we're getting right now, I think we are good. All right, now that we got that out of the way. Sorry, that was a very nerve-wracking situation. Kind of happened live while recording. This stuff was going on that we definitely had to cover. Again, I think we're okay with that situation with Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. But switching up over to the Orioles here, we did get news this morning that Felix Bautista had surgery to repair a torn labrum and a torn rotator cuff. So this injury, obviously Felix a few weeks ago, got taken out, got put on the IL. There was some, discomfort with his shoulder, and, we were definitely worried about it because Felix Bautista is a generational reliever talent for the size that he is, for how fast he can throw. I mean, we saw it back in 2023. We saw it back in 2022, how electric this guy is when he's healthy and on the baseball field. And we even saw it this year as well in the times that he appeared for the Orioles this year. We saw how good he was. He was a little bit shaky early on, but right as he was really starting to settle into the season, obviously he did feel the discomfort in his shoulder. And he's now getting double surgery, pretty much, to get a torn labrum and torn rotator cuffs repaired. And this is a injury that's going to keep him out for a minimum of 12 months. So minimum until, August, September of next year, which is pretty much all of 2026 unless he has some miraculous recovery. But to be honest with you guys, with how young Felix Bautista still is, and with him having Tommy John surgery just a couple of years ago, and with him now having this major shoulder surgery, and him being out all of 2026, I really don't know if he's going to be pitching for the Orioles ever again. And I also don't really know what his baseball career looks like moving forward, because again, these are two major injuries that he's having to his throwing arm, and I just don't really know what it's going to look like for Felix Bautista in the future. But if I had to be a betting man and I had to guess, I think that his time in Baltimore is over, and it really sucks and it's really sad, because Felix Bautista is somebody who I was looking at to be our closer for the next 3-4 years, or even longer. Somebody who, if he could stay healthy, is just so incredible. And really and I don't want to say it now because it's obviously too early to say something like that, but it really is like a big what-if story with him. He was not with our team last season. He missed all of last year with Tommy John, and we were rolling out there with Craig Kimbrell last year, and it was a disaster, as we know. And then this year, we had him to start the season. Things were going good. Obviously, the Orioles were losing games, but not necessarily because of Felix Bautista. But he was looking good, and he was really starting to settle into the season. He was getting his velocity up, and all of a sudden, now he's going to obviously miss the rest of this season and also all of next year as well. And it just sucks. It sucks because you look at Felix Bautista, somebody who really is just an incredible player when he's out there, and now the Orioles offseason becomes even more difficult and frustrating and complicated, because now the Orioles going into this offseason are really going to have to revamp the bullpen. We knew that was the biggest thing, is that the Orioles were going to have to revamp the bullpen. But not only are they going to have to revamp the normal relievers, they are going to have to go and find a solidified closer for this team. Because right now the Orioles don't have a closer. I mean, their closer, I guess, the closest thing to that is Dentrich Enns or Keegan Aiken, but they do not have a closer. It literally is just whoever is up in the bullpen is going to up and try and save the game. That is the Orioles bullpen right now. There is no certified closer. Felix Bautista was the closer of this team. Guys around the league. Edwin Diaz, closer for the Mets. Josh Hader, closer for the Astros. Johan Duran, closer for the Phillies. You go around the league, and there's a difference between reliever and closer. A closer is somebody who you say, give me the ball in the ninth inning, I'm going to go out there and make sure we win this game. Or I'm going to get the ball and I'm going to make sure that we extend this to extras. You know what I mean? That is a closer. That's what Felix Bautista was, and now the Orioles are going to be without a closer, obviously, going into next year as well. The biggest, hope was that he was going to be available by spring training, or at least available by opening day of 2026. And now he's going to be gone all of 2026. And I'm still under the assumption that the Orioles are going to want to try and compete and win games next season, and either compete for a division title or go to the playoffs or something. I would like the Orioles to try and make the playoffs next season after what happened this year. I'm still under the assumption that this team can do that. They have they have the talent on offense to do that. They have the position players to do that. They're starting to look like they're going to have the starting pitching to be, very fine next year, with guys like Trevor Rogers, Kyle Bradish coming back, maybe calling up someone like Trey Gibson if he continues to play well in AAA, Dean Kramer, who's been incredible. Like, you have guys like that for your starting pitching. Like, I was always under the assumption that what the Orioles need to do this offseason is revamp the bullpen and get maybe one more quality starter. But now the Orioles are going to have to go out there, and while they're revamping the bullpen, they're going to have to go and find a closer. And I do have a list of closers that the Orioles can try and target, and we'll talk about who I think could be the best one for them, who's somebody that I would want to target. But there is some closers that the Orioles could try and get next year, whether it's on a cheap deal, whether it's them actually going out to spend money. But pitching is the biggest need for next season. More importantly, just shaping up the bullpen, getting a closer, and then also maybe getting another quality starting pitcher as well. But the Orioles pitching recently has been incredible. Over the last month, they've had the best ERA in baseball from their starting pitchers. So the starting pitching has been great recently, and hopefully that momentum can carry into next season with guys like Trevor Rogers and Dean Kramer, and getting Kyle Bradish back, and Cade Povich can hopefully continue to do his thing, and just stuff like that. Hopefully the Orioles starting pitching next year is just solid. I'm not asking for a top 5 rotation in baseball. I'm just asking for a solid pitching staff, but the bullpen needs to get worked on, and now we're going to need to go get a closer, so it makes everything even more complicated. But the Orioles and Mike Elias and David Rubenstein are going to have to open up their wallets to make sure that gets done. So we do have a list here of some notable closers that will be available in free agency this offseason, and these conversations about potential offseason pickups regarding closers and just bullpen relievers and even potential quality starters, we're going to have these conversations when the offseason comes for baseball, probably around that, November range-ish, once the season ends. Then we'll really start getting into free agency stuff. But some notable closers who will be available in free agency this year. Ryan Helsley, who is currently on the Mets. The Mets traded for him. Will he stay with the Mets? I don't know. I know he hasn't necessarily played great for the Mets since he's been there. But Ryan Helsley could be someone that the Orioles could go after. Edwin Diaz, who is on a player option. I have a feeling he'll probably stay with the Mets, but I don't know. But Edwin Diaz is somebody who's going to be in the free agency if he declines his player option and goes to free agency. I doubt it, but that's just a name there. Obviously, Ryan Helsley could be someone interesting. He's had a little bit of a down year since going to the Mets, but we'll see what happens. Now, Kenley Jansen is someone who I can just see as an Oriole. I don't know why. Kenley Jansen's been one of the better just overall bullpen relievers and closers for a while now. He's someone who has been very solid. He's a little bit on the older side, and someone who's had an overall just solid career and really been one of the better just overall closers in baseball for a long time now. And he's someone that I could see the Orioles going out and getting. I don't think the price will be too high because of his age, but he's somebody that I would definitely trust to go out there and get some saves in the ninth inning for the Orioles next season. Devin Williams is on here. No, I do not want Devin Williams. Obviously, he was one of the better closers in baseball for a few years when he was with Milwaukee, ever since Josh Hader left. When he was in Milwaukee, he was one of the better closers. He kind of collapsed in the playoffs against the Mets last season, got traded to the Yankees, and he has been an absolute mess for the Yankees. They've been booing him. It's not been a good year for Devin Williams. Will he have a bounce-back year next year wherever he is? Maybe, but I just don't know if I want the Orioles to go out there and take a chance on him. I think he has potential to be great, but just this year was a disaster. Rafael Iglesias, obviously longtime closer for the Braves, someone who is kind of like a legend in Atlanta, someone who is also one of those older players like Kenley Jansen, and someone who I think the Orioles may target. Obviously, the Orioles are not afraid with going after someone with age, obviously getting Charlie Morton this year, getting Tomoyuki Sagano. Charlie Morton is gone, by the way, and also I kind of want to shout out Charlie Morton. He's been playing incredible for the Tigers since he's gone there. Obviously, his season overall, he started off horrible, and then he had a really big bounce back year for the Orioles. He started getting interest from teams, and he's been playing great recently, so shout out to him. I'm glad he's doing well and succeeding. But Rafael Iglesias is someone who I really think that the Orioles can maybe target, him or Kenley Jansen. I don't know if it's going to be a younger guy like Edwin Diaz, Ryan Helsley, or Devin Williams, but getting Kenley Jansen or Rafael Iglesias, I'd be fine with as well. I'd be fine with any of these guys on the list. Some other guys are like Sir Anthony Dominguez, Kyle Finnegan, Aroldis Chapman, Brad Keller, Luke Weaver, Hunter Harvey. Hunter Harvey could be cool, get a little bit of a reunion going. Same with Sir Anthony Dominguez. I don't think that they'll try and get Sir Anthony Dominguez, but getting someone like Kyle Finnegan or even going after an Aroldis Chapman could be very, very interesting. Aroldis Chapman really does interest me because he's having an incredible year for the Red Sox this season. We saw yesterday, he threw 13 pitches against the Orioles yesterday, and it was all swings and misses. And Aroldis Chapman as an Oriole is very, very interesting. But Aroldis Chapman is someone who could be interesting. I think Ryan Helsley could be interesting. Kenley Jansen. Kyle Finnegan as well. All of those guys are just very interesting options. So the Orioles have plenty of options to go out and get a closer. So I do trust that they are going to go and hopefully get one of these players. More notably one of the 3 to 4 guys that I just named. But we'll see what happens this offseason. Closer is now going to be probably the main target this offseason. Closer, and then also just getting some more bullpen guys, and then getting a quality starter. That is what the Orioles need to do this offseason. So, quickly going back to this Lamar Jackson situation, because some tweets just came out over the past couple of minutes while we were talking about the Orioles, and wide receiver Tylan Wallace did speak to the media today, because I'm guessing practice just ended. He said that he didn't see how Lamar Jackson got stepped on. He said he'll keep Lamar in his prayers and expects him to be back sooner than anyone expects. But the Ravens and the Ravens spokesperson told reporters and told Jamison Hensley that Lamar was fine and that his foot got stepped on and he'll be fine. So this situation is a little bit weird because this is either one of two things. Either one, Tylan Wallace really doesn't know what happened, and he's just saying he's going to keep Lamar in his prayers, expects him to be back, and he's just not trying to make a big deal out of it, and everything's going to be good, and Lamar's going to play against Buffalo. He's going to be ready week 1, and everything's going to be good to go. So there's either that, and there's either the side of the coin that we don't got to worry, he's going to play, everything's good. Someone stepped on his foot, they took him out, because of precaution. The whole wrist thing was maybe a misjudgment or something like that. Or there's the side of the coin, which I don't think is true, but at the end of the day, who knows anymore? There's another side that's maybe Lamar Jackson actually is injured, and maybe the wrist thing is a problem, and maybe the Ravens spokesperson lied to the reporters saying that his foot got stepped on, saying that he's fine because he doesn't want the media and doesn't want the fans to overreact about the situation. So it's either one of two things. Either way, it's very uncomfortable. It's a very uncomfortable situation, and for someone like myself and for someone like other Ravens fans as well, this isn't really an overreaction. You know what I mean? Lamar Jackson is the Baltimore Ravens, and any sort of injury or any sort of news like this is something that you definitely have to monitor 100%. There's a reason why in training camp and in practice, the guys on defense are not allowed to touch the QB, especially quarterbacks who are as important to the team as Lamar Jackson is to the Ravens. So Tylan Wallace's comments here saying that he's going to keep him in his prayers and expects him to be back sooner than anyone expects. This is a little weird of a saying because you have Tylan Wallace having this little cryptic, keep him in his prayers message. Then you have the spokesperson saying that his foot got stepped on and he's fine. And then you have the other thing, which is he was flexing his wrist. So I don't really know what's true. I don't think we're really going to know what's true until we hear it out of John Harbaugh's mouth or until we hear it out of Lamar Jackson's mouth. But hopefully we get clarity later today or tomorrow or soon. But this is definitely something that we need to monitor 100%. But thank you guys so much for tuning into and listening to this episode of Birds of a Feather. This was a little bit of a bonus emergency episode. I wasn't really gonna record an episode today because there wasn't really, there wasn't really an Orioles game, and I was kind of, waiting to see what was going on during Ravens training camp. And Ravens training camp ended up having one of the most, heart attack like news that I've seen really in a long time, which was the potential Lamar Jackson injury scare. Most reports are saying that he's fine. I'm going to follow those reports, believe that, and just believe that everything is good and okay. I'm not going to have to, I'm not going to go worry about a situation until there's a reason for me to worry. Ravens spokesperson said that he's fine, and I think at the end of the day, we'll get clarity on the situation. He'll play against Buffalo. He'll be good to go. He'll win his third MVP. We'll win the Super Bowl, and everything will be good to go. We won't even remember this. So hopefully that's what ends up happening for the Ravens. Yeah, it definitely was a little bit scary earlier on in this episode when I started off the episode immediately talking about like a report that he went down. This was before the whole stepped on foot, he's fine reports. So that was a little interesting. That was a little scary. Little bit of a heart attack to open up this episode. But I appreciate you guys so much for watching. In this episode, I really was just going to go over the Felix Bautista thing and talk about some closers that we could get and the state of the bullpen and everything like that. But it ended up becoming also like a Lamar Jackson Ravens scare thing as well. But everything should be good to go. We all take a chill pill, step back. Everything's going to be fine. But I appreciate you guys so much for watching and tuning into this episode. If you like this content, make sure to subscribe on YouTube, follow on Spotify, make sure to like the video on YouTube as well. Also, make sure to follow the Twitter, follow the Instagram. I post live updates and reactions to any sort of Ravens and Orioles news. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow for any sort of Lamar Jackson updates and also going over the going over the Orioles and Astros game 1 of that 4-game series back in Baltimore. So we'll have a lot of stuff to go over tomorrow. Later today, if there's any big Lamar Jackson news, again, if there's any big news in general that's worth making an episode over, we will go over it. So later today, if we get clarity and if Lamar Jackson actually is injured and it's serious, we'll definitely go over that later in an episode. Yeah, tomorrow we'll probably have more clarity on the Lamar thing that we'll talk about, and then we'll also go over game 1 of this series against the Astros in Baltimore. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. You have a great rest of y'all's day. Go O's, go Ravens, and I'll see y'all later. Peace out.